Carla Sontag, President and Founder of the New Mexico Business Coalition. We're having a conversation this morning with three millennials about the United States and the current presidential election. So with me, we've got Ben, Eddie, and Courtney. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Good. So tell me, what do you think is the most pressing issue in the United States right now?
Okay, guess I'll take this one. Most pressing issue, definitely one of the biggest one I think is the economy.
Yeah, definitely.
With the huge deficit, and with a huge deficit, we need somebody like Donald Trump who understands, what's going to make money for America.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to change it?
I think what's going to change it is first cutting taxes back down, letting working Americans, rich and poor, being allowed to keep their money and spend it the way they want to, under Trump's plan. And a lot of people don't realize, especially millennials, is that taxes get cut under Republican presidents, not under Democrats. Under Hillary's plan, people making lower the middle class are still going to have their taxes raised, whereas compared to Trump's plan, they're going to have their taxes lowered, if not slashed completely, if he has his way.
Mm. Hey, Courtney, they say that, if we don't raise taxes, we can't pay for all the programs and things that we've got going on right now. So how does that work? If we're cutting taxes, can we pay for these programs? Do we need these programs?
I think we do need some of these programs because they do help out, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't be the ones paying for it. We should have, there should be a better way to get the funding for these programs.
Do you think if we get the economy moving and there's more production in the United States, that maybe that's going to help pay for what we need to pay for?
Absolutely.
I think the big problem too is what Corey's saying off of is people abuse the system. You have people on welfare that are born to welfare that are told, oh yeah, we're just going to keep giving you welfare by Democrats, whereas it just keeps them stuck in the hole. And when they abuse it, the costs go up, they're still unproductive on the system, whereas welfare was intended to help families or individuals that got laid off all of a sudden just to help them get back on their feet, 5 to 6 months, not 16 years.
So what can we do to reform that? When you look at welfare and you've got these people on that are just generationally on welfare and different government programs, what can the United States do to correct that?
Well, and on that note, a lot of people are going to look at me like I'm the evil one here after this, but one of the big things, hitting on the abuse of the system, one of the big things is a lot of these welfare people are abusing drugs as well. I feel like that one of the big things that will cut down on costs for that is, mandatory drug tests for welfare.
Interesting.
And going off of that with mandatory drug testing, a lot of people do abuse the system because they feel they can't work, and a lot of that goes off of mental health as well. Like they might have a mental health problem that hasn't been addressed because of the stigma around it. So if they do, if they get that help and they realize that they can get therapy or like the pharmaceuticals or anything like that to help with their mental health, they can hold a job, they can get off the welfare and end the vicious cycle that it is. It's like with our homelessness problem in Albuquerque, almost the majority of them are abusing drugs because they're self-medicating their mental health.
That is a problem that needs to be addressed, I think, in the United States. So right now, we're just days away from the final decision in the presidential election. What do you think about that race, and where do you think it's going?
It's definitely volatile. It's back and forth. I think a lot of people are paying too much attention to the mainstream media and the polls because, they're always skewed. As we were discussing earlier, Romney, Obama, they had Romney winning at the end of the day and got destroyed. And I believe that some people will look at the polls as a guideline to vote, and that's wrong. And just look what happened to Bernie. They declared California to Hillary before the election even started, so it kind of discourages voters from going out and voting for who they want. So, and they're trying to do the same to Trump, I believe.
And also on that note, one of my biggest hopes is after recent events, I really hope, with the corruption being waved around in the millennials' faces, I seriously hope that a lot of these millennials start considering that, maybe Hillary's not the best choice here. So, go Trump.
Well, there's been accusations of different issues with Trump regarding his sexual conduct with women or how he's treated women. Courtney, what do you think about that?
I think there's no excuse for it, but at the end of the day, it's more of a nationwide problem. We have this rape culture, like with the Brock Turner case, with like plenty other cases where they've thought that sorry, I get a little nervous. Where they thought that they like blame the victim, or they think, well, like they go off of what things that shouldn't even matter. And that's how you guys were raised. That's how Trump was probably raised, because he's even older. That's how, like, I've heard my friends say derogatory things. And looking back, it's not okay, but we have to address that as a country together, and not just, what am I trying to say here? Not just villainize him because he said one thing or one back in before he was even running for president, and he apologized for it. That's all we can ask for right now. Like, it's not still saying it's not that it's okay, but you can only ask so much of him. Do you want him to go travel back in time and not say it?
And when you look at that issue with Trump, is it a current issue or is it a past issue? Do you still see current trends that he's behaving that way?
Honestly, in this election, I haven't really seen anything. Like, I don't feel offended by the way, like, by what he has said in the debates and stuff like that. I do think he could like handle himself a little better, maybe get like a little bit of a filter, but
Stick to the script.
yeah, stick to the script. But at the end of the day, it's not just Trump. And I remember there was an article that said that the NFL players don't talk like that in the locker. And when I was in high school, I worked closely with the football team, and I was always in the locker room, like filling up water, and they do talk like that. Those 15, 16, 17-year-old boys, they do talk like that. And so I really don't think it's just Trump.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, we're looking at, they're trying to, I don't know why all of a sudden this comes out before, the racist thing, the sexual assault thing comes out right before he's running for president, when you look back and you've seen Trump, with, Rosa Parks, working close with black communities. He's had, minority workers that have come and said, no, he treated us great. And all of a sudden now they're painting him as this big bad racist, when in reality, he went to a golf club in Florida that was closed off to Jews and African Americans and opened it up to them. And that wasn't the thing back then.
And even if you look at Hillary was one of the biggest victim blamers that there is. After all of the allegations with her husband, Bill, it wasn't Bill's fault. It was all the girls around him's fault.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Good
And
answer.
not to downplay that as an important issue, but is that the overriding issue for a presidential candidate about how he talks to people? Or is it more important what we anticipate that presidential candidate will do for the people?
I think it's definitely due. I mean, actions are gonna speak louder than words. Yeah, Trump said a few mean things. He already came out, apologized, said, yeah, I was wrong, let's move forward. And Hillary hasn't even came up and owned up for all the stuff, all the victim blaming she's done in her past 30 years. And this is the same lady that got kicked off the Watergate scandal investigation for lying. And then she's yet to come out and say anything about the emails when it's so blatant. Yet she wants to blame WikiLeaks and Russia when she was praising the same guy, Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, back when they were releasing stuff about the Bush wars and etc. So it just doesn't add up. She has yet to come out and apologize, take any type of responsibility for stuff that's criminal, and Ben being in the military would be in prison for it.
I'd rather have a president that says mean things than does horrible things.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Very good answer.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So what do you think about the recent news about the FBI reopening the investigation? First of all, where are you on the fact that they closed that investigation so quickly?
Well, look at track record. Clintons have been in power forever. Director Comey You've had agents anonymously saying that, you know, he's dirty, and I don't think maybe seriously he's dirty because he wants to be, but when, I mean, it's literally something out of the house of cards almost. I mean, these people are pure corruption, pure evil, and I'm hoping that this time around, I'm like keeping my hopes up, but kind of have a little bit of hope that he's actually maybe stepping up and owning up to it, and you know, is going to actually do his job and enforce the law in America, which is that guy's ultimate job to do here.
What do you think about Trump's comment during the debates that if he were president, Hillary would be in jail?
Yes. But I mean, on that note, yeah, she does belong in jail. She does belong in jail. We've had several people. Well, let's take a look at, you know, Edward Snowden. He released a bunch of classified information. He had to flee the country. So, you know, I mean, Hillary, either get out or go to jail. One of the two. Pick one.
And Courtney, what about you with, you know, this is the first opportunity that we've really seen in the United States for a female president. Is that important to you?
It is important to me. I would love to see a woman as a president, but I just don't think Hillary's it. I think we can do better. She is more bad than she is good. So, and if you watched any of her like past interviews from a long time ago, she's not what she says she is now. She's all about women and I'm with her, but back in the day she wasn't. She was the complete opposite. And so I'm like, if she can switch like that, what makes me like, what if she can switch like that over just like a couple years, she can do it over her 4-year term as president.
What do you think are the most important things that the president should do as soon as they take office?
I think first off, the most important thing is one, repeal Obamacare. Premiums are going up, and state of New Mexico is listed as, I think, I don't know if we're gonna be the hardest hit by this Obamacare premiums. We're going up 96%. So pretty much doubling. If you're paying $1,000, you're gonna be paying a month. You're gonna be paying $2,000 a month to have pretty crappy insurance. I'm sorry, it's not good coverage. The next one would be securing our border, and I think a lot of people, this is where they get off from the racist thing. All Donald Trump says he wants to secure a border. How can we be a country and call ourselves the United States of America if we're just letting people freely walk in and out?
Exactly. You know what's wrong with a long time ago when Trump first started running, he started talking about, you know, before, you know, well, this is after the wall, I guess, and talking about the wall, but he said, you know, ideally we don't want to shut down the border until we figure out what's going on with us as a nation. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I feel like we should shut down the borders, figure out what's going on with us first, and then we can start letting people back in. So.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about the southern border, securing it, and there got to be quite a debate between the U.S. and Mexico and who's going to pay for the wall. But that wall is not solely focused on Mexico, is it? We've got people coming in from European countries, Central American countries. They're coming in through our southern border because that's the easy way to get into the United States. But that's not a focus just on Mexico, is it?
No, it's protect our borders, period. Same thing goes for Canada. I mean, when you got, you know, reports of, you know, Islamic agents coming up, you know, radical Islamic agents coming up through the southern border, whether it's by stuff they find or the individuals they arrest, that causes, you know, it's cause for concern. I mean, they do same thing goes for Canada. You can have, I mean, when you look at London, they can go, you know, from all these radicals and go from there to Canada and across the northern border scot-free.
If they figured out they can go through one part of the border,
Yeah.
how they can come through the other side of the border, the other side of the United States also, by air, land, and sea.
And I think the wall is more, I mean, yeah, physical wall is one thing, but I think it's more at least a theoretical thing. That just means an actual enforcement for immigration laws and allowing our border agents, customs and immigration, to do their jobs. Allowing them to do that, you don't need to build a big old wall. That's going to pretty much not like the need for that. But being able just to enforce the rules of what we got and get everyone out, because yeah, there are great people coming from Mexico and other countries, Europe, Asian countries. They come and heavily contribute. There are also people that are coming here committing murder, rape, robbery. They're cheating the system. They're getting benefits that should be going to our veterans, our, you know, sleeping in the streets, mental health people that need help and be put in institutions.
Plus, the beautiful thing about that is what's, on the immigration thing is you're eventually going to have to bolster your forces to secure the borders. What's that going to do for the nation as a whole? It's going to create more jobs. So,
Yeah, and again, that's not focused just on Mexico, right?
No, it's not. We're protecting their country. It just happens that the border with Mexico happens to be one of the largest gateways. It's not just people from Mexico, but like you said, Central American, Latin America, European, Asian people from Asian countries all the time fly into Mexico, Tijuana, Mexico City, and they take the trip up
Right.
because it's cheap.
And Eddie, you're of Hispanic descent.
Yeah.
Do you find Trump to be egregiously racist?
Absolutely not. The media's painted him as that. When he publishes a video saying one thing, they take bits and pieces. And then when you watch the entire speech or you read his transcript, you're just seeing that no, he just wants the bad ones out, and we can keep the good ones in and make sure people will follow the path of citizenship. So they're paying paying their taxes, or they're on the books.
Right. And one of the things that we haven't talked about that has been discussed a little bit in the media, but we've got a big decision coming up with the next president, and that is appointments to the Supreme Court. How do you feel about that? And who do you think is going to do the better job for America in the long run with those appointments?
Absolutely, Trump.
yeah, absolutely, Trump. I feel if Hillary gets her way and gets the three that she wants to appoint, then it's gonna, like, back to the whole corruption thing. It's gonna totally corrupt the federal justice system.
She might as well be president for 30 years at that point. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what we're looking at. Anyway, they appoint someone that's in their 40s or 50s, they could theoretically sit on that court until they're 80.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I've been telling my friends that are on the fence about Trump or Clinton, that are afraid of voting for Trump, I remind them of the Supreme Court justices and what that means. And my fellow millennials, these Supreme Court justice picks are going to dictate our lives for the next 30 years. That's not just our lives, but it's our kids' lives, and that can have effects for the rest of our life. We may, if it's as disastrous as it could be, we'll go to the grave, not knowing what could have been like.
If Hillary takes office and these three appointees that she has on the books take over, this is the measure that she's going to use to basically, in essence, take away our Second Amendment. So.
And not just even the Second Amendment. I mean, our First Amendment is under heavy attack. I mean, it's one thing to go after our Second Amendment, but to go
She
after
doesn't like Catholics either, so
yeah. But the First Amendment, I mean, we're going off with this thing, our generation as well as safe spaces. When you go out into the real world, someone says something that you don't like, you don't get offended. You just deal with it. Don't be. We can't be soft. I mean, once we're soft, we got people in other countries that are training the, kids and radicals in the Middle East. They're training their 8, 9-year-olds to pretty much chop our heads off. I mean, not to be extreme like that, but that's really what they're teaching their kids. That we're bad. That no matter what, we're the enemy, and that's okay to lie to us and get to be our friend and then turn on us. I mean, and then we're over here scurrying away because, so and so said, body shaming, etc. And it's disgusting. You can't hear another person's opinion, but the minute the oh so tolerant left, they're saying stuff like, it's only my way or the highway.
Mhm.
Right. And speaking of very strong opinions, Courtney, there is a lot of discussion about women's rights, reproductive rights, and what's going to happen with our next president. What do you feel about that?
I don't think Trump is aiming to take them away. I think he's aiming to protect the unborn. I am pro-life, to say that, and I'm also a female, obviously. I do think they should have a choice in contraception and ways to prevent that pregnancy. But when you choose to have sex, you are taking that risk of getting pregnant, and it's not all just like the woman's fault. Yes, there's got men as well, but they're gonna have to pay child support and stuff like that. So where am I going with this? Sorry, I just don't think that it should be a choice that's made easily. Even if Hillary does win, I think that she should keep that women have to go through counseling. They have to do all these things in order to get an abortion, because it's not just their life. Life starts at conception. not contraceptive. So there's so much that can be done to like protect these unborn children. And even if, like, say I were to get pregnant and I don't want a baby, it's my responsibility to have that baby, and there are plenty of people who would be willing to adopt it. So.
And what about in the case of the woman, excuse me, that just does not want to carry the child, and they're not pro-life like you are? Then what?
I don't think they should have been having sex then, or they should have taken the right measures to not get pregnant. They should have been on birth control. She should have been used a condom. She should have protected herself.
Okay. Well,
down onto that, I mean, obviously the only exception to that case is, the mother's life. I mean, the mother's life comes first, obviously, but, you gotta make choices. I think, everyone wants to say especially our age that we're adults, but yet you can't carry the responsibility of an adult when that happens. I mean, there's enough measures out there today for a reasonable price to prevent that from happening if you are going to engage in sexual activities.
mm-hmm. And I think that there are going to continue to be abortions and women that will make that choice, whether an individual agrees with that or not. What role does the government have in that? So the reason I ask this question is one of the things that is bantered around a lot is what will Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump do with Planned Parenthood?
Well, Trump will defund Planned Parenthood. Why should my tax dollars go to Planned Parenthood? Don't get me wrong, Planned Parenthood, I know does some good stuff. They give women mammograms and options of contraceptive. But on the abortion side, I mean, I don't think they should be funding. I believe you can fund Planned Parenthood, but no more abortions like that.
Right.
I think you have to go both ways. I mean, they do get some good stuff, but we shouldn't be paying for abortions out of our pocket.
Nope.
Courtney?
I was going to say, I don't agree with you that Planned Parenthood should be defunded, and I don't want Trump to do that because they do a lot. They focus highly on getting people who can't afford birth control. They provide condoms for these women who, I don't know how much condoms cost, but who can't afford them. Like, they do a lot with, and they also help women who do get pregnant with, like, prenatal care, with post birth care. Like, they help these people basically plan parenthood, but I don't think they should offer abortions, just because that's not something that they should be covering. Like, Planned Parenthood is planning for parenthood, not to not be a parent.
Yeah. Or the same thing, and then you have Right to Life, which is a large organization that does the same thing. They give, mothers, all the necessary counseling and needs and items for the baby that they need. If they don't receive the federal funding, at the other side, they should at least receive federal funding. It should be one or both ways. If you're going to fund one, you should fund the other, or not fund either.
And on that note, since abortion is going to happen, I agree with Eddie that we should not have to pay for it out of our pockets. But if the person wants an abortion, I feel like okay, well, that's their choice. But I feel like the price on that should be a little bit higher. I think something like here in the state of Mexico, it's something like $600. I think that should be up near well in the quadruple digits.
And a lot of people are saying that it's not fair to women that they have to carry a baby for 9 months. But a lot of things aren't fair to women. It's not fair that I have to bleed for a week straight every month. Like, do either of you bleed for a week straight every month?
No.
Well, that's not fair. Should men have to have periods? Should we come up with a way to force you to have a period? So
the last thing that I heard on that subject, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Trump said what he wanted to do was to continue funding Planned Parenthood with the exception of abortion. Is that correct, or
Yeah.
have I missed something in the news? So he's not taking away all those other benefits that Planned Parenthood provide, but I think he is agreeing with what you're saying, that maybe tax dollars shouldn't be there to fund abortion.
No. I mean, I believe the only time that, if someone actually needs help with that is if, like we're saying, the mother's life's in danger. I mean, it's very rare, but it does happen. I mean, in the U.S., because she comes first, but at the end of the day, it should be focused on life. Whether, it's taking care of the mother's life for the positive of the baby, or if you're just going to have to save the mother's life. But I agree with that. No abortion out of our pocket. That's wrong.
Yeah, and when it comes down to
that issue when it's taxes, that's what we're talking about. And taxes affect everybody individually and in businesses. And so then it's a matter of how are those taxes used. And sometimes we don't agree with how they're being used, and there can be a better way to figure out their use. And when you do that, then we get back to one of the first questions we talked about is how people are taxed and how people are affected by that. So that's why it's important to go full circle on how we're handling our budget and what we're doing with this economy, that we're getting people to work and they have the resources to provide for their families, right? To pay for education, which brings up another point. Hillary wants to have free education for everybody.
Free is a strong word.
Nothing worth having is free.
And I know a lot of people will bring up, oh, well, Europe has it, or Denmark has it, blah blah blah. Well, they're also in huge debt, and on top of that, they don't realize that students there take a test, and only about 10% actually get their college paid for. 10% go to college. The rest of them go do trade schools, open up their own business, whatever they need to do. But only 10% actually go to the universities there, and most of them come from government or elitist people up high. Actual people, normal people like us, anywhere in the middle class, they won't get the opportunity really unless they score extremely high on their test. People don't realize it's not free tuition for anyone who wants to go to college. It's free tuition for the select few.
Even with the New Mexico lottery, they cut it my senior year of high school down from 100% like tuition to 60% tuition because it was going broke basically. Like that's kind of free college for New Mexico students. And it's great. I love the fact that I have the lottery, but they had to raise the GPA because too many people who shouldn't be going to college, they should be pursuing some other type of like education or career path, were getting the lottery and they were failing out of college. And that, I don't know how much, well, tuition's about $6,000 a semester at UNM, and they were wasting that. They would fail out of college after 2 semesters or 1 semester, and where'd that money go?
And I think with that stuff like that is that you got people in the United States, like she was saying, not everyone's meant for college.
Right.
Sometimes people maybe need that year break, and then you need 2 years to grow. I know my dad didn't do well the first time, went back when he was 30, graduated, and does great now, but he said he had to grow and mature a little more. Whereas, and then there's other people out there that, we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need, people to do laborers, and people don't realize you can make great money. Yeah, they try and put this bad stigma around it, but people that go and own their own electric companies, their own plumbing companies can be, millionaires or better off than people that do go to college. They just don't realize that.
My dad went to college and struggled through college for 4 years, and now he doesn't even use his degree. He builds homes.
Yeah.
I have a quick and simple solution for the people out there that want to have free education. Join the military, they'll pay for it.
And we need more people in the military.
Sure.
Speaking of the military, how do you think our 2 presidential candidates are going to handle our military and security of the United States going forward? Where is their focus?
Should take this one.
Well, okay, so with Hillary, I feel like, well, I've felt this way about, Obama as well. I actually served in Operation Enduring Freedom during the first part of the Obama house. So, in which case, I don't feel that the Democrats would necessarily take care of the troops as well as, say, former President Bush, or what Donald Trump is saying. He says he wants to, take care of the veterans. He wants to, he wants to bring more people, bring the military back to its mightiest point, back when it was at its greatest point, greatest peak. So I fully agree with Trump on that. We definitely need more people in the military. The thing about the military, we need the commander-in-chief of the military to, kind of repeal some of the rules we have now, talking about how civilians have safe spaces, and believe it or not, the military does too. But on that note, and I feel like on top of that, with the military, as soon as we start, bringing more people in, that's another thing. It's going to bring people in, create more jobs. Sure, there's a lot of people don't agree with some of the incursions we've had over the years, but bottom line is, as long as it's creating jobs for people like me, and and it's a completely volunteer system. So on that note, if people don't like it, well, there's people who volunteer. So if we don't go, who are you going to send? Are you going to send your kids?
And on that note too, with the military, you got this stuff with Russia popping up now. It's funny that a lot of people try and paint Republicans as the war hawks, when in reality, you've got Hillary going to go toe to toe with Putin in Syria, and where we're on the wrong side, that we're funding the terrorists. We're literally arming the terrorists that are fighting we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Fine example.
Yeah.
A fine example. During the Russian occupation of Afghanistan, we gave the Mujahideen weapons, and in turn, when we went back over there in the 2000s, first thing we see is all those weapons we just gave them back in the 80s are being used against us. So, good job.
But it's amazing. And when you got, I was watching a video when you have General Dempsey, he's the Marine Corps Chief of Staff and the Commandant, saying that he doesn't want to make that call, saying that when Hillary calls for a no-fly zone, telling the Senate committee that will take us to direct conflict with Russia and Syria, which would be an awful event for everyone across the board. It'd be bloody, we'd lose a lot of American lives and lives on the other side, saying that he doesn't want to make that call. We're talking about a decorated, well-respected Marine general saying that he won't want to make that call that Hillary's going to make. I mean, that's sound for alarm. I think a lot of people don't realize that because it's not on the news as much, but I mean, we're at a really big breaking point.
And I feel like any military, any military commander with a sound mind would make the same choice as well. So
yeah, I mean, you got someone like Trump who wants to, encourage, a peaceful alliance with Russia. Russia's a big country with, the ability to have a strong economy. Why not pursue that route, whereas Hillary wants to pursue, aggression with them and further agitate them by, calling Putin a liar and just antagonizing the entire Russian people.
well, isn't that just the pot kettle calling, or the kettle calling the pot black or something like that?
Courtney, do you think Trump is a little too friendly with Putin?
I don't know. When it comes to people who, like the men who run the countries or the women that run the countries, I don't think there is too friendly. Like, we need alliances. We need good relations with these people so that basically they don't hate us. They don't want to bomb us. They don't want to attack us. And that I would rather, you're not going to attack your friends rather than you're going to attack someone that you don't like. So.
And to add to Courtney, I think you can be too friendly. And Corey, I totally agree with her, but in terms of, look at Hillary Clinton, hundreds of millions from Saudi Arabia, Middle East countries, when she goes out there and promotes, women's rights and stuff, but yet takes money and favors from countries that don't even allow women to drive, let alone leave their house without the permission of their husband or father or brother.
There's a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So if we really want to watch out for Putin that much, then make him close with it.
If anyone really wants to learn what the Russian people are thinking, go on YouTube. Google Vladimir Putin's speeches. It's the Russian media, but they translate it for you. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to his concerns. Everyone's ignoring him. He's literally out there saying that, they're ignoring me, they're antagonizing me. I'm here to talk, but yet they go to their media and say, oh, they doesn't want to do anything. That's why I encourage you, go do a little research. Just don't listen to this clickbait you see on Facebook.
Well, and the other thing where I kind of disagree with Trump is, I feel like he should openly condemn that, Putin going over there and tearing up the Ukraine and.
Yeah,
That
was wrong.
That was a no-no. Come on, but
he can go back at us with other stuff. At the end of the day, what he did with the Ukraine is wrong. What he's doing in Syria, probably right, because we've seen here, they've got Libyans now. Everyone remembers when Obama helped overthrow Gaddafi. Libyans are now regretting that. They missed life under Gaddafi. What a lot of people don't realize in the Middle East, a lot of dictatorships need stability, and a lot of these dictators, the jihadists don't like them. So they're going to keep them suppressed, which helps us out. So it's going to lead to more stability. I mean, don't go off the emotion of, freedom, freedom. Sometimes in countries like that, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. And if you want to look out for the best interests of every person in the world, sometimes you do have to go with the lesser of two evils like that.
I mean, well, other than that note, what are you going to do? Aside from world domination, what are you going to do? You going to start putting American people in there in a democratic society over there, or are you going to just let them deal with their own stuff?
Yeah, that's the other thing. The reason we have the world really angry at us because we are starting to meddle with too much stuff. I mean, we have over 128 different bases or presence in locations we really need that. We can build up our military, but at the same time, we should protect home and protect the important strategic areas.
Bottom line, conflicts cost money.
There you go.
So,
That's true. That's true. So, Courtney, will you vote in this election?
I will.
And how about you gentlemen?
I already voted.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good. And who will you be supporting? You already voted. Who did you vote for?
Trump.
Trump?
Are we voting for Donald Trump?
Really? What advice do you have for other millennials?
Remember that we're voting for the future, not only for ourselves but for our kids. Don't play into emotions, or both sides of the media are wrong on this one. They do a lot of bad things. Just we gotta look out for each other, for our financial stability, and for ultimately the security of our own country. I mean, realize that this is bigger than what a lot of us, bigger than us and bigger than what we realize it is.
Well, we as millennials are the future of this country. So with the elections coming to a close very soon, the only advice I can tell you is make smart and well-informed decisions. Do your research. Look into your candidates. Not just presidential candidates. Look into your state representatives. See where their issues are.
Don't believe everything Facebook tells you.
Yeah, and do listen to the other side. See where they're coming from. Don't block people out, in your life or social media or whatever it is because you don't agree with them. Understand where the other side's coming from. Do research to be able to rebuttal them, or maybe there's something you may even could agree with them. There's always gonna be a compromise somewhere, and we can't let this divide us because we're already divided worse than we probably were at Civil War times. I mean, it's horrible that we can't just have civil conversation, yet we have to label each other and call each other names just because we have different political opinions.
We've got to respect the opinion and the right for everyone to vote. It's important that they do vote. I appreciate you talking with me today because you represent the three biggest groups of people that are being focused on in this election, and that is millennials, minorities, and women. So thank you for being here and expressing your opinion, and I hope you'll encourage all your friends to get out and vote.
Thank you.